Medical visits and sick call. All inmates will be allowed adequate medical attention while in the custody of the Sheriff of Rankin County. Inmates will be offered a medical request sheet on a daily basis. Any inmate requesting such attention and fills out a medical request form, having funds placed on his or her commissary account or active account, the Sheriff will charge a copay fee of $8. Those inmates deemed indigent will not be charged, and the fee will be waived by the Sheriff's office. Inmate movement within the facility. When outside the confines of your pod or dorm, all inmates will walk in an orderly single-file fashion along the wall to the right with your hands placed behind your back while in the presence of an officer. There will be no talking whatsoever except to staff members. If you are being transported to an area beyond the living quarters, then you are to have your armband identification and your shirt tail tucked in to your pants. Haircuts. Inmates will have access to get a haircut once a month. Exceptions may be made if the inmate is scheduled for court appearance. Fingernail clippers will be distributed during haircut times. All inmates will receive a basic haircut, no special cuts or styles. Indoor recreational time. Indoor exercise such as sit-ups and push-ups are allowed indoors provided they are done on the lower level. The tables in the recreational area, the stairs, bunks, or other items or fixtures in the pod are not to be used for exercise. Under no circumstance will issued items be altered to produce homemade weights. No homemade exercise equipment will be allowed. Indoor recreational time will be given daily from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. as long as behavior permits. Also, during this time, you will be allowed to utilize the board games that are provided for you. Meals. When a meal is announced, you will proceed in an orderly fashion and form a single line at the door behind the red line. One inmate at a time will step into the red line and receive his or her meal. Upon receiving your tray, you will move to a table for consumption of that meal. If there is an issue with the tray provided, report it before you leave the line. When the meal is completed, you are to empty your tray of excess food in the trash can and neatly stack the trays next to the door for collection. It is your responsibility to line up when meal service is announced. When meal trays are placed inside the pod, they are counted correctly for the amount of persons being fed. You are to get in this line to ensure that you receive your issued meal. The detention officer or kitchen staff will not wake you for meals and will not come back to the pods or dorms after they have completed serving the inmates who were in line. The meal served is to be eaten the day it is served. Inmates are not to take parts of their meal back to their cell area and store food. Detention officer will destroy any food served from our kitchen found, stored in the cell, and the inmate is subject to disciplinary action. Inmate Orientation Supplement on Sexual Abuse and Assault Information. Policy. The Rankin County Adult Detention Center has a zero-tolerance policy on sexual abuse and assault, and will not tolerate any such conduct by staff members or inmates of this facility. Any violations of this policy will result in disciplinary action up to and including criminal prosecution. Prevention and intervention. Every attempt will be made by the staff to identify potential victims and potential perpetrators of sexual abuse or assault prior to any incident. However, any inmate that feels he or she could or does fall into one of these two categories should report such to the staff immediately so that action can be taken to protect and or isolate the reporting inmate. Reporting. If an inmate is being pressured by another inmate or staff member for money, property, or sexual favors, the inmate shall immediately report such to a staff member in the area. If the inmate is not comfortable reporting the incident directly to the staff member present in the area or the staff member is the focus of the allegation, the inmate shall write a letter to the jail administrator outlining the allegations, then seal the envelope, and request that it be hand-delivered immediately to the jail administrator. Cell doors. Items are not to be hung in the windows of the cell door blocking the view of the inside of the cell. No objects placed to defect the working of the locks on the door will be tolerated. Doing so will be considered an escaped attempt, and the inmate will be subject to criminal prosecution. Day room activity or activity room. The day room area is defined as the area between the pod entry doors and the first step of the stairwell. There will be no loitering behind or on the stairwell or on the second floor cell area. Your mat, blanket, or etc. will not be allowed outside of your assigned sleeping area. Library services. Library services will be conducted weekly for each inmate. Protective custody. Inmates incarcerated in the county jail have the right to request to be segregated from general population. Upon request, you will be asked a series of questions and then sign an agreement. Protective custody inmates will be housed in segregation and will not be permitted at any time to congregate with other general population inmates. Along with other restrictions, the form that you sign lists restrictions. You are urged to fully understand what protective custody is. Red line procedure. The pod you are assigned has a red line on the floor marking off a restricted area of the pod. You are not to cross it unless staff has advised you to do so. The red line maintains order for various procedures performed by staff members of the county jail on a daily basis. If you cross the red line without permission, you will receive a notice of violation and face disciplinary actions. An inmate that violates this policy may be subject to immediate lockdown by a staff member, or the entire pod may be placed on lockdown and lose all privileges given to inmates. This can only be approved by a supervisor. General mandated orders. From time to time, it is imperative that an administrator or his or her designee add to the directive procedures of this handbook. This is done when it is seen that a certain procedure is not the best interest of staff or inmates. In the event this happens, staff members will be notified and a memo to inmates will be placed on all inmate memo boards. If a staff member advises you of a procedure that is not listed in this handbook or is contrary to it, you are required to follow directions as given by the detention officer. Failure to do so is grounds for disciplinary action. Gang activity. Any gang activity is prohibited. Conducting gang recruitment, business, or activities is a violation of jail rules. Furthermore, gang activity is against state law, and any inmate who participates in such may be subject to criminal prosecution. If the jail administrator deems it necessary, due to the related gang activity, he or she may segregate you from the general population of the jail. This segregation may last for the entirety of your incarceration. County jail property. When the intake process is complete, you will be issued items that are the property of the Rankin County Sheriff's Office. These items are expected to be taken care of and will be returned to the jail upon your release or transfer. In the event that you are in possession of a damaged item that is beyond normal wear and tear, you will receive a notice of violation. Along with the rule violation, an affidavit may be filed by a ranking staff member for civil prosecution to cover the cost of the item. These items are, but are not limited to, mattress, uniforms, items in living quarters, towels, cleaning equipment, etc. Remember, any item that is issued to you does not belong to you. Therefore, you are to take care of it. If you feel property is damaged before it is issued to you, then notify a member of the staff immediately. Searching of inmates. An inmate in the Rankin County Jail is subject to a search at any time.